update, we should be good. I'm telling you, Zoom likes to update like every other day, it seems like.
Well, yeah,
I don't understand it, but
there's
that's
that too.
okay. So let me just make sure. Oh, we are live. We are live. Yay. Welcome, everybody. We have the privilege of getting to chat with Natasha today, all about her hormones. We love getting to share testimonies, hopeful experiences for women who just need to know that their story doesn't have to be the way that it is. And so, Natasha, I just want to say thank you for taking the time out of your busy, crazy summer and sharing with us a little bit about your journey. So, I would love for us to just start with kind of where you were like 4 or 5 months ago. Tell me a little bit about what you were experiencing, what was going on with you, and then we'll kind of go from there.
Okay. I have struggled with PMS. I'm pretty much, I think, since I started getting my period. And, people always have that, oh, she must be on the rag, or, oh, it's just her time of the month. And, so growing up, it was like, okay, this is what people say about it. But as I've gotten older, and I think as I have more people in my life that depend on me to be happy and functioning and those things, I noticed that for almost 2 full weeks before my period, I just was not myself. That,
Wow.
more low mood. My thoughts were not, and just not as logical as I
Right.
normally am. And I would journal too, or I'd get certain books out during that time and
Totally.
try to do, read my Bible more, or, try to get more sleep. But whatever I did, it just wasn't enough. And so I was constantly researching like vitamins or things I could do. And
Right.
then Happy Hormones came up on my Facebook feed.
Totally. Yeah, and so tell us a little bit more about, because I think we kind of touched the surface of how that was really starting to impact you, was that realization of this is like half of my month, and you're a working mom, you're a teacher during a pandemic. You don't have the privilege of just not getting to go to work, right? For those 2 days, or not parenting your children. So tell me a little bit about how was that impacting your home life, your marriage? So often, I know, at least for myself, when I was, at my worst, we don't realize, it's kind of like you're in a fog. So you don't really realize that your mood and your behavior is actually affecting other people. So I'd love for you to share, because I know it's going to resonate with some of the women watching, how that was really impacting your day to day.
I noticed it in the classroom. I felt more snappy at my students over things that normally, I could let go. I noticed I wanted to lay in bed more. It was like, I just don't want to deal with life or what's out there. Obviously, much shorter with my husband and my kids. And then also just not very nice to myself, even. I would
Yeah.
say things in my mind about myself that I normally wouldn't be. It's like, yes, you had a bad moment, but you're not a bad mom, or,
Right.
you know, and so it definitely affected those around me. And I noticed too that sometimes I wouldn't want to be around like large crowds of people. With,
Totally.
I mean, being a teacher in a Christian school, it's like, we'd have church events or we'd have things, and I kind of just wanted to hide from the world.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's one of the things that one of the education pieces that I try to tackle as often as I can is your hormones absolutely impact your neurotransmitter function. And that can manifest like being more easily overwhelmed, or sensory overwhelm even. Like I'm kind of 50-50. I would call myself an ambivert, so I can handle being in groups of people, but I definitely need that time to myself. And when I was having really bad mood swings, that was amplified like to 1,000. Like, just get me out of here. I don't want to be around people. I just want to curl up into a ball and cry and watch sad Netflix shows. So I don't know if that is similar to, those thought patterns that we wouldn't normally have at other times of the month. And so it sounds like you kind of were starting to put the pieces together, that this wasn't just like a bad day, or like it wasn't because your life was too busy, or that you just didn't know how to handle stress. You kind of, it sounds like, made that connection that there's something going on with my cycle, that this happens, on a regular basis. Would you say
Yeah.
that's true?
12 times a year. Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
totally.
12 times a year,
And
right?
I would dread that time, and there'd be a lot
Mhm.
of anticipation, and just like, I mean, really kind of a helpless feeling, like, well, this is
Totally.
what I'm dealt with. And
Just have
yeah.
to deal with it.
Mhm.
Yeah, it is very and I would love to hear in the comments for those of you that are watching if you had a similar experience to that, because that's absolutely how I felt. Like powerless, I don't know how to change this. I do not feel like myself. I feel disconnected. Like Andrea's in here somewhere, but it's behind this, like it's almost like have you watched Inside Out?
Yes, yes.
Okay, when sadness starts to like touch
And
the core memory, that's what it feels like. It feels like, oh no, sadness is taking over and I can't pull myself out of it. So tell me, within that, you were starting to kind of put the pieces together that there was probably something hormone related to this. What kind of changed, like what prompted you to take action and be like, okay, I need to deal with this?
I didn't like the unproductivity for that time. And also just I wanted more for myself. It's like I wanted more for my kids. I wanted more for my students. And I just, I it's like I'm an educated person. Like I can put the pieces together, but there has to be more. And I tried some supplements, or I'd Googled different things, but I needed some answers, and I needed some answers with experience, and not someone, I mean, bless their heart, but somebody at a health food store who's like, oh, try this.
Totally. Yeah.
And I needed more. I needed the whole package, which is what the Happy Hormones does. Is it looks at everything, not just one piece of the month.
Right, exactly. And we look at identifying patterns too and tracking those patterns over time to see what changes. So I know, if I'm remembering correctly, in addition to like the mood swings and the energy, those were like big ones. But it was also headaches too, right?
Oh, my headaches. That's probably the most measurable thing for my husband. Like I had headaches very frequently. I mean, I was popping ibuprofen like, my kids want to pop candy. I mean, and
Yeah.
not like, I mean, but it just became that, almost also
Your
just became
normal thing.
a
Yeah.
normal thing. Like, oh, if I have a headache, oh, I'm prone to headaches. And that is the most measurable thing that I've noticed. It's very rare that I have one anymore.
That's amazing.
It is.
Yeah, that's amazing because I know for myself, I rarely get headaches, but when I was working 13-hour shifts, like teachers and nurses, I feel like our jobs are different, but the demand is similar. Like it's a nonstop demand. You don't get potty breaks. If you do, somebody's calling you and something bad happens in the classroom. Like there's no, you can't have a bad day,
Yeah.
right? And so it's one of those like you have to just push through it, and so you do until you realize there's a better way to do things. So tell me a little bit what changed for you. I know that obviously we started working together in the Happy Hormones program, but tell me, what about that process do you feel like helped you the most?
I became so much more aware of like my body and what I was taking in. And then also just like the tracking, keeping track of, oh, this really, I noticed that I could kind of hold it together all day long. And then I noticed that
Mhm.
my children are young, they are 3, 7, and 10. And by
Mhm.
doing the methodical tracking, I realized, oh, I'm typically getting most of my stress is happening in the evening.
Yeah.
And so seeing that helped me kind of mentally prepare for that. But yeah, I just have so much more of an overall awareness of my body. And I still will maybe have like a low day, but I'm able to be like, oh, this is a low day. This isn't a low 2 weeks.
Right.
Or yeah, I'm having one of these, but I'm in a group of people where we're all in it together. And if I want some more answers, then I can go to a loving group of people that will guide me there.
Right. Exactly. And I think one of the biggest things that we were kind of talking about this before we hopped on here was realizing that there is no one size fits all approach, right? So we
Mhm.
have these foundational pieces that everybody works through because we know that they, for you in particular, dealing with the liver and the gut brain connection is what we needed to address for the headaches and the mood swings. But how we apply that for your life as a busy mom, as a teacher, who's transitioning through this crazy pandemic year into now being home is going to look very different than somebody else, the single mom or the mom of 8 kids. Like that's going to be a totally different process. So how do you feel, you kind of already touched on this, but how do you feel like having, you kind of had action tasks laid out for you that were specific to you, but then how did you feel about the ongoing feedback? Do you feel like that was beneficial to you? Do you feel like that's kind of what helped you to kind of navigate through the process? Because it's not like you take a pill and your symptoms are gone, right? Like there's definitely there's shifting that happens. So I would like for you to, if you're open to it, just share a
Yeah.
little bit about what that was like for you.
Well, even a couple weeks ago, I went on the Facebook group and said, I've had some more breast tenderness again. And you were able to say, I don't have your tracking guide, but this is my, I think it is X. And
Mm-hmm.
then this month, I've worked on that
Mm-hmm.
and I haven't had any yet. And I'm about a
Yay.
week
That's
out from
awesome.
the period. Yeah, but it probably more than likely would have already started.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I think for if I just go and get vitamins from a random person at a store, I don't have a connection with them. But knowing that there are other women like on the weekly coaching call that I could see, I
Right.
could see one feeding her 6-month-old baby in the background, and she's has to mute the phone for a little while. But
Right.
it wasn't just these were real people, and obviously going through very similar things as I was.
Totally.
And I think especially after this last year, like we need the connection that goes along with it. And
Yeah.
probably a lot of the women that come on here, this isn't a new thing. This is something they've dealt with for
Oh
a
yeah.
while. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, the majority of the women that I work with, if I was working with myself, I would say the same thing. Literally ever since I had a period. Those were my symptoms. So by the time I'm working with you, it's been 10, 20 years even, like of just tolerating them until they get to a point where you can't anymore. Like,
Mhm.
and you realize how much this is impacting you. So you kind of mentioned that your husband noticed some
Mhm.
improvement. So what else besides the headaches did he notice? Because that's, as a practitioner, I'm not just working with the woman in front of me. I'm working with her husband and her children as a byproduct of that. So I love it when kids start to notice, Mom, you're more playful, or Mom, you're not snapping at me all the time, which is one that my children have said too. Like, hey, okay, they do actually realize I'm getting better. So I would love to hear if you've kind of seen any of those observations in your family as well.
My husband has said you are definitely healthier. Just overall, you're a healthier person. Like you seem to take such better care of your body, which we know if you take care of your body, it's going to
Totally.
transfer to your mind. And also, I think he's noticed too that if I do have a low day, it's so much shorter.
Right.
It's not for 4 or 5 days in a row where it's like I can have a bad day or I can have some bad moments, but I know also that there's light at the end of the tunnel. Or I can
Totally.
look back and say, well, look at your tracking guide. You've been
Hmm.
on vacation the last 4 days and
Yep.
you're coming back to reality. You're going to be a little more emotional. So I think just an overall sense of control. I mean, as much
Totally.
as you can control more than I think we have ever thought we could.
Exactly. And I love that you said that because that's one of the biggest things. If I could like package it all up and put it in a nice box and send it to you, if it was an actual piece of matter that I could send, it would be that like recognizing what we have control over, recognizing that we actually do have a lot of control over how we feel, not in the sense of mind over matter, where it's like, I can be patient, I can be patient, I can be patient, and then we snap. Like, that's not what I'm talking about, but the actual action tasks or action steps that get us to where we feel like we have control over ourselves again. So I love that you were able to talk about that because I think that's one of the hidden wins, like we talk about getting rid of symptoms, but really the end result of that is feeling more in control of yourself. So let's see here. So I just want to make sure that I got through all my juicy questions. So it sounds like for you, the biggest wins were getting rid of the headaches,
Mhm.
significantly reducing them at a minimum, and feeling more like yourself again.
Yes, yes. And for longer periods of the month. And
Right.
having a support system to know that I wasn't going through this alone.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
I had a
And
community.
sorry, I totally cut you off. Say that again.
So I said I had a community. I had some people that wouldn't just say, because even my practitioner last year, I said something to her and she goes, "Oh, well, it's probably not as bad as you think. I think you're probably just being too hard on yourself." I was like, "No, no, no. I've lived with myself for a long time." And she wasn't, I don't, I think she was just trying to be encouraging, but I
Sure.
really wanted answers.
Yeah, totally. And yeah, and exactly. And realizing, and I think that's the benefit too of having people at different phases in the process is somebody that's 4 or 8 weeks ahead of you is like, I totally know, like that's where I was 4 weeks ago. You're going to get over that hump. You're going to feel so much better. It just helps to validate your experience, and it helps you to realize, okay, I can push through this. Like this
Yeah.
is a normal like part of that process, because it's not it isn't that band-aid solution where we're just, shutting down your symptoms. We actually want to get rid of them. And that means, there's going to be some ups and downs within that. So for women who are struggling like you were struggling, who are dealing with the same symptoms you were dealing with, what piece of encouragement or advice would you give to them?
It's just fun to feel like I have more of myself back, that and also just it's something that I've done for me. I would watch a lot of the videos and get a lot of the information. I'd go in my room every Sunday and I'd fold laundry, and that's when
Mhm.
I would invest in how I can be happier and healthier for a whole month, or at least, most of the month, that I was
Absolutely.
losing so much. I was losing so many moments because I was kind of just because I was miserable. And
Right.
so, yeah, I just say that it's been very beneficial to me and my family, and just that it feels so good to be healthier.
Absolutely. Well, and you even like your disposition and the energy that you bring, like it's totally different than, where we were when we first started. And that's really what it's all about. So I just want to say thank you for sharing your journey, for being vulnerable, for sharing about your family, because so many of us, that's really our motivator is we recognize like it's not just impacting me now, it's impacting my family, and I need to do something about this. So I just want to say thank you for sharing that. Do you have any final parting words before we hop off today?
Just that it's a wonderful community to be a part of, and you're not alone, and you get answers not just in one shot, you get answers along the way, because I've been doing this since March. And Andrea was even so kind to be like, what, there's a couple of things that I think we can even do better for you, so stay on for a little longer and we'll get all these things wrapped up. And that's not someone who just wants to check a box and another person go through the program. That's someone
Right.
who truly cares. And so I
Thank
appreciate
you.
that you do care about the people and the work that you do. So thank you.
Thank you. I definitely do. Keeps me up at night sometimes. I'm like, we got to get in there. We're going to figure it out. No, but it's just that's how I'm wired. So that's part of the way God made me, I guess. So if you are feeling like Natasha was, 12, 16 weeks ago, and you are recognizing that there's definitely a connection with your hormones, you're not sure what to do about it, you're not sure what to focus on, then I would encourage you to reach out to me and we can schedule a breakthrough call and just see what's going on, and see what your next steps might be. So thank you so much, Natasha, for your time today. I'm going to let you get back to your busy family, but enjoy the rest of hopefully it's sunny where you are.
Thank you.
Um,
Yes, it is.
Yay. I know you're getting ready for school to start too. So we will be in touch. Okay.
Great. Thank you.
You're so welcome. Have a good day.
Bye bye.
Bye.